Here we go, here we go, here we go again. Another bloody war, another bloody battlefield. I get tired of all this shooting and nonsense. It hurts, it really does. I might only be an NPC, but there are times where I wonder if it's worth it. You know, die and get ignored and die. It's tiring. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of How to Be a Great GM. My name is Guy and today we're looking at bad combat mistakes. Bad combat mistakes. Now there are three categories of bad combat mistakes in my opinion. This is irritating. I'm glad I don't have a broken arm or shot up arm or cut up arm or whatever it might be. But when you are running combat, there are some things that happen that these guys don't get wrong, but which a lot of game masters, dungeon masters, and storytellers can get wrong. And I say this because I was in a game recently where a very good GM got it very wrong. And it shows. It was laborious as a player. It was frustrating as a player. And at the end of it, once it was over, it felt as if nothing had been accomplished. Because, as the player, my character hadn't been involved. Because these three things had been violated. So if you want to avoid these mistakes, these bad combat mistakes, sit back, get your pens and pencils ready to take notes. Because these, as far as I'm concerned, are inexcusable. Rules-based. This is something that a lot of GMs hide behind, and simulationist GMs and GMs who like to use the rules as written and to follow everything to the letter of the law frequently will make these mistakes, and for no reason at all, other than that they are simulations. So rolling for every NPC. Now, let's get some things straight. If the NPC is engaging with the PC, then you roll. You follow the rules. In order to hit, in order to dodge, in order to cast magic, in order to avoid magic. If the NPC is engaged with the PC, then you roll, yes. If, however, the NPC is not engaged with the PC, they're engaged with something else, something happening elsewhere, or they are counter-coding and the PC is busy rolling and trying to counter-code, or there's a combat type of situation, an antagonistic situation happening, and there are other NPCs out there doing other things. Yes, they might be part of the combat. They might be there. They might be wielding weapons. They might be engaging with other NPCs. But if you're rolling for every NPC, including the ones that are not directly involved with the PCs, you're going to be sitting there playing with yourself. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nobody wants to watch that. So rolling every NPC stat, making sure they're fully fleshed out, that's brilliant, that's wonderful, 10 points to you, but you've wasted your life and your time doing it because nobody cares at the table except perhaps for yourself. Rolling every attack that those NPCs are going to be making against other NPCs. Making sure down to the minutiae, well, this NPC is this level, so they get 5 attacks against those NPCs which don't have any attacks. I'm going to roll all 5 of them. Okay, they do 50 points of damage. Now I'm going to... No one cares. Nobody cares. Truly, truly nobody cares at that point, except for you. And then finally, movement in vast spaces. You're in this giant field. It's filled with mist. One NPC is engaged in combat over there. And according to the rules, it will take their party 20 turns to get there. 20 rounds of combat to get there because the space is so big. So we are going to have the NPCs rolling against the one PC and the other 5 PCs. I'm sorry, you're running. You'll get there in 20 turns. You guys might as well go get pizza, get something to drink, Hell, you don't even have to be here, because by the time you get there, the PC is either going to be dead or the NPC is going to be dead, and that's it. Because I have rolled up the NPCs, and they have a certain number of hit points, which I will not deviate from because I created them. So the battle is going to take 18 rounds, and on the 20th is when you guys arrive, when it's all over. Why? Why would you think that that's going to be fun for the 5 who are sitting there having their character run for the round? What's your character doing for this round? Running. Because you said it's going to take us 10, 15, 20 turns to get there. Because you made the space so big, you decided that that is how long it's going to take. You as the GM have drawn out this environment. You have created a situation where this is going to happen. It is all your fault. Yes, the player might have had their character, oh, I go wandering off in the wood to go and see what's going on there. How far do you go? Oh, about half a mile. Okay, it takes you 10 minutes to get there. The rest of the party hears combat from half a mile away. I don't think so. The person said they walked for half a mile. If you really want to simulate it, have them make some kind of nature, wilderness law type of check so that they weren't walking in exactly a half-mile distance away. They were walking for half a mile in a slight curve. So they're actually only 5 rounds away or 4 rounds away. Why make it that it's going to take so long that they will never possibly engage? And if it is to the point where the PC is completely outnumbered, why do you need to roll every single attack? Why is it not just a case of saying you are surrounded, they will overwhelm you? If you really want to play it out, wait until the end of the video so that you can see what you should be doing whilst the characters are running for 400,000 days, because nobody cares. NPC focused. This is another classic mistake. I am the GM. I have all the power of the universe because I literally invented the universe. That was literally your job, is to create the entire universe and everything in it. So you can make NPCs who are way better than the PCs because you're not restricted by the same rules that you gave them. They created their character. The character has to be created at a specific level because you said so. So if you make NPCs who are better than the PCs, and they're part of the combat, the PCs are going, I hit it for 3 damage. Oh, I'm so powerful. And you go, well, step aside. Here's my NPC. He automatically hits it. He automatically crits it. And, oh, look, he's doing 400,000 damage against my monster. He's amazing. And you're just the player. You just go sit over there because you're doing 3. Really? Look at my NPCs. My NPCs are brilliant. That's what you want to send as a message? My NPCs are better than your PCs. My imaginary creatures fight my imaginary creatures better than your imaginary creature fights my imaginary creatures. There is something seriously small about your person if that is the case, and if you derive joy and pleasure from that kind of thing. NPC versus NPC is even worse. Oh, you're fighting your NPCs over there, but I'm going to fight my NPCs over here. Why? There is only one reason. Because you want to defeat yourself. You want to feel as if you've won a battle against yourself for imaginary things. If the NPCs are fighting against NPCs and it has nothing to do with the PCs, there shouldn't be any rolling. Unless you really want to simulate that. In which case, I would suggest you invite your players to go and have coffee somewhere nice. Watch a movie, and then you can sit in your room rolling your dice against yourself, seeing which one gets bigger numbers. So that then eventually you can decide, of the imaginary battle, which one of the imaginary creatures won. NPCs ignoring PCs to go and fight other NPCs. Why? Oh, no, logically, my vampire would go and fight the vampire hunter who's also attacking the PCs, and they're going to have a big battle. Yes, great. What are the PCs doing while that's going on? Oh, well, they're going to try and interfere, but they can't actually damage any of them because they're not strong enough. So why? What? If the NPCs ignore the PCs and go and fight each other, that's absolutely fine. But the PCs should then have something to do, and you shouldn't be rolling your NPCs versus your NPCs anymore. That should be a described dramatic battle happening in the background whilst your PCs, the things that are playing your game that are real blood and flesh, not the imaginary stuff that's going on in your head, whilst they participate. If your game is NPC focused, your game battles are going to be incredibly boring for anyone participating in them other than yourself. And then finally, combat only. Okay, guys, this is combat number 58 in our adventure. 58. You got to kill these things again. It's just combat. Combat is the only way you can win. You can't win in any other way. You just have to kill it, because that's what I say. So, when it is combat only, and there is a task that needs to be performed, the characters have to defuse a bomb, or they have to figure out how to discombobulate a thing, or there's a drawbridge that needs to be lowered, and one or two of the party members go and try and do that, whilst the other party members engage in combat, and your brain is going, well, it's going to take them half an hour to do that. So that's like 500,000 rounds. So for the next 500,000 rounds, you guys are sitting there doing that. Whereas the ones that are involved in combat, you get to do stuff every round because that's 3.5 or 6 seconds. And that's fair. Okay, so round 1. Okay, you guys are doing combat. Roll your dice. Cool. Brilliant. Look at that. Look at all the damage you're doing. Good. You two over there who are busy doing that thing that I said was going to take 50,000 rounds. That's what you're still doing for this round. Okay, well done. Okay, back to the combat, because the combat's focus, because it's a combat session. You guys are still doing the same thing. Back to you. I'm actually not even going to bother talking to you anymore, because you're going to just do the same fucking thing. So we're just going to carry on. Okay, so if the task takes the entire combat, you have to ask yourself why. Why? Simply because the rules say that a combat round is 6 seconds long, or 5 seconds long, or 5 minutes long? Why does the task have to be as dull? If the task is, oh, well, you just have to roll a certain check after every 2 minutes, why? Combat is a roll every round. Why shouldn't it be a roll every round for the person to overcome the thing that they're trying to do? And not the same roll, by the way. It really shouldn't be the same roll. It should be, okay, first you need to access the thing, so give me a dexterity-based roll. Then you need to understand how it's built, so that's an intellect kind of roll. Then you need to defuse something, or so that's a mechanical roll, or it's a this roll, or it's a that roll. If you make it as interesting as the combat that you're busy running, then suddenly you're engaging all the PCs. But when there is a PC who has not built a character for combat, don't just go, oh, you're hiding in the corner? Okay, that's fine. This is also bad on players' behalf. If they've created a character that's not combat-based and they're just waiting for something to happen and they are purposely not doing something, there's not much you can do about that. I give you that. But if you go, well, this is a combat and your character's not combat-oriented, so nothing is going to happen for your character. Your character's going to stand there and you're going to watch everything. You've basically just said to the player, the character that you have built is not valuable to me. It has no inherent use in this particular situation. You might as well just go home. That's a terrible approach to take. It is an absolutely horrific approach to take because you've basically said that combat is the only solution. So if you didn't tell the players beforehand, hey, I want you to build combat-orientated killers because every encounter is going to be a combat and you are going to kill everything you encounter, then you have set the player up to have a very boring experience. And that is a very basic bad mistake to make, in my opinion. You need to be focused on how do you engage all of the PCs. So if there's someone who's not combat orientated, the onus is on you to create a combat encounter where there is combat happening over there, but something else is happening down here. If you look at a classic example, Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Han Solo and Princess Leia are trying to get back inside this the Death Star shield generator bunker. They have to rewire something. Does it take them 20,000 years? No, it doesn't. It takes them a few moments. One of them gets shot. Another one carries on. They kind of get into a situation where it's a bluffing situation. They bluff their way out of it. Look at how two characters who weren't involved in the bigger combat were given things to do, were given challenges that weren't combat-oriented so that their characters who were not combat-focused could be involved in the game. It was simple, it was easy, and it created a huge amount of tension, and it engaged all of the PCs. So, Those are the mistakes that you should avoid doing. I've even lost track where we are. We're on the bonus stuff already. That's where we are. So if you've stayed through this entire thing and you've gone, yes, we must avoid these things, then this is how we use it. Use mass combat as a backdrop. There's hundreds of NPCs fighting each other. Yes, brilliant. Are you rolling? Maybe. One roll for the bad guys, one roll for the good guys, and that's it. Whoever rolls higher loses a certain number of people, and then you move on. Don't roll individually for every single action that needs to happen. It's boring. Use the PC's actions. Make them count. In other words, the PCs are trying to diffuse the thing. They succeed in diffusing a little bit. The bad guys lose a little bit of pressure, or they gain pressure because now they need to really ramp up the pressure. Use the NPC's actions to determine what is happening to the NPC battle in the background. It doesn't have to be dice dependent. Don't restrict yourself that way. Description is better than rolls. Most of the time, describe the battle happening in the background. There's this massive war droid that's being attacked by all of the soldiers, and they're busy firing into it, and it's firing back. Occasionally it stomps on a soldier. Occasionally a plucky soldier throws a grenade into one of its great vents. There's an explosion of black smoke, and for a moment it stutters and stops, and then it starts moving again. Rather than going, okay, the creature attempts to stand on one of the soldiers. Okay, it rolled a 14, so it succeeds. Okay, it did 22 damage to him, so he is slightly wounded. All right, he's going to try and throw a grenade into one of the vents, so he's going to roll. He has +3. The vent, okay, so it got into the vent. He's going to roll damage. But if you do want to use rolls, if you do want to have rolls included, then let the PCs roll for the NPCs. But again, not every single roll. Not every single roll. This is not called rolling and rolling and rolling some more. This is called role-playing game. Use the mechanics to have the role-playing part of it come into it. Don't make the mechanics kill the role-playing component. So if you have this giant monster fighting this other giant monster, this PC, you're going to roll for the attacks for that monster. This PC, you're going to roll for attacks for that monster because your characters are busy diffusing the bomb, and there isn't a huge amount for you to do. But if you get them to impersonate the monsters, the NPCs, that makes for a more interesting game. So bad combat mistakes. This type of thing, Battlefield, it doesn't matter what type of first-person shooter you want to go with, they avoid all of this nonsense because they know the focus should be on the players, not on all of the imaginary stuff that is quite literally just a background. The background is there for drama, for excitement. It is not there to dominate the story or the telling thereof. Don't make these mistakes. Anyway, I hope this video has inspired you to step back and maybe re-examine how you do mass combat, or even 5 or 6 NPCs fighting against 5 or 6 NPCs should not result in 20 or 30 dice rolls every round that has nothing to do with the player characters whatsoever. It should not be that in the slightest. And don't sit there and think, oh, well, I only roll 5 dice on each side, so I'm better. It's still 4 dice too many on each side. 1 die would be more than sufficient. Until next time, I need to go and breathe, I think. You need to hit that like button, if you liked the video, of course. And the subscribe button would be even better if you want to drive subscriber numbers. That's always fun. Of course, the Goblin Bell will alert you when new videos are coming out. And that can be quite useful, especially if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. Until next time, however, I wish you and yours the happiest of good combat.